The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with tension. Representatives of countless species, each ruling their own corner of the cosmos, gathered in an emergency session. Panic spread like wildfire, hushed voices rising into frantic arguments. Humans had left. Just like that. No explanation, no negotiation, only a final transmission. Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Council. Then silence. The Vorlax delegation, known for their rigid logic, analyzed every possible reason. Perhaps a political maneuver, one suggested. But even they couldn't ignore the cracks forming around them. The Celiari, the galaxy's finest traders, had already felt the impact. Without human-engineered logistics, their hyperlane networks were falling into chaos. Delays. Lost shipments. Unexplained failures in systems humans had fine-tuned over centuries. The Kithriki, battle-hardened and proud, scoffed at the commotion. They were just another species. Let them leave. But even their war councils hesitated. Humanity had been the unpredictable element in every conflict. Tacticians, diplomats, innovators. Wars had been won not with brute strength, but with human ingenuity. Across the galaxy, failures multiplied. Power grids flickered, automated systems stalled, artificial intelligences began miscalculating. The Council had never noticed just how much humanity had integrated itself, how many of their solutions quietly supported the entire structure of interstellar civilization. One Celiari ambassador slammed a data pad onto the table. We took them for granted. They were builders, problem solvers. We never asked how they did it. We only assumed they always would. No species had ever left the Council before. There was no precedent. But what terrified them most wasn't just that humanity had left. It was that they had done so completely, without hesitation, without looking back. A Vorlax analyst studied the remaining data streams, eyes widening in alarm. We need to act. Now. But it was already too late. The unraveling had begun. Trade collapsed within weeks. Supply chains that had functioned flawlessly for centuries buckled under their own complexity. Entire star systems reported shortages of critical resources, their once reliable trade routes now riddled with inefficiencies no one could fix. The Celiari, masters of commerce, scrambled to stabilize markets, but without human oversight, their once flawless economic models failed. The Vorlax struggled to keep infrastructure running. Human engineers had been the ones who optimized power grids, patched AI inconsistencies, and maintained deep space relays. Now, entire communication networks flickered and failed. Automated repair systems malfunctioned. Entire colonies, once sustained by barely understood human technologies, went dark. The Kithriki, sensing weakness, moved first. Their fleets surged into contested sectors, expecting an easy conquest. They were wrong. The factions they targeted had been trained by humans, their defenses shaped by human doctrine. The warlords had underestimated the species they once dismissed as weak. What followed was chaos, skirmishes turning into prolonged battles, alliances fracturing under the weight of disorder. Desperation set in. Attempts to replicate human systems failed spectacularly. Their work had never been about brute efficiency but adaptability, intuition, an ability to solve problems before they even arose. No algorithm could replace them. No species could mimic their way of thinking. The Council had no choice. A delegation was assembled, its mission clear: find humanity. Bring them back. Fix what had been broken. It was the only option left. As their envoy approached the Sol system, dread settled over them. There were no transmissions. No response. No sign of life. Earth, once a beacon of innovation, now loomed in silence. The humans were gone. And no one knew why. The envoy drifted into the Sol system, scanning for any sign of human activity. Nothing. No defense grids, no patrolling fleets, just abandoned stations, cold and lifeless. The silence was unnatural. Humanity had never been quiet before. Descending onto Earth, they found cities intact but eerily empty. Power grids remained functional, but there were no signs of movement. No broadcasts. No life. Streets were frozen in time, as if humanity had simply stood up and walked away. Inside what had once been a major research facility, they uncovered vast data archives. Frantic searches yielded one repeating phrase: Project Exodus. Files detailed plans for large-scale evacuation, but there was no clear destination. Humanity hadn't been wiped out. They had chosen to leave. Among the final transmissions, a single recorded message played. A human voice, calm but resolute. "We warned you. We carried your wars, solved your crises, sustained your civilization while you took and demanded more. You assumed we would always be there. You never thought to ask what we needed." The delegation exchanged uneasy glances. Humanity had abandoned them not out of anger, but indifference. The message continued. "We watched. We waited. We learned. And when the time came, we left. Not in retreat, not in exile. But because we saw no future with you." A final note was scrawled onto a terminal screen. "We go where we are needed. You are not." The realization was more chilling than any war. Humanity hadn't been defeated. They had simply moved beyond them. And the galaxy had been left to fend for itself. The galaxy fractured. Without humanity, once powerful alliances crumbled, economies collapsed, and wars spiraled out of control. The Council, once a pillar of order, was now a hollow relic, its authority ignored by those scrambling to survive. Then, the ships arrived. Thousands of vessels, sleek and unrecognizable, emerged at the edge of known space. Their technology defied classification, their movements precise and effortless. No warnings, no demands, only presence. Every species that had dismissed humanity as insignificant now watched in silence as their former allies returned, no longer bound by the past. A transmission cut through every channel, the voice unmistakably human. "We observed. We waited. We saw what you would do without us. And you proved our decision correct." Panic set in. Some begged for humanity's return, promising change, offering reparations. Others prepared for war, determined not to bow to those they had once considered lesser. None of it mattered. The age of the Council is over. The balance you refused to uphold, we no longer maintain. Your fate is your own. No threats. No ultimatums. Just a statement of fact. And then, just as suddenly as they arrived, they vanished. The message was clear: humanity had not returned to rule. They had returned to watch. And should the galaxy threaten what they now protected, there would be no second chances.